everyone, and welcome to the Believer's Voice of Victory broadcast. I'm Courtney Copeland, the granddaughter of Kenneth and Gloria Copeland, and today I am joined by my grandparents, Dr. Don Colbert and his wife, Mary, and I am so thrilled for us to have another week of amazing knowledge that the Lord has given you to share with us. Dr. Colbert is a board-certified specialist in anti-aging. His new book is called Live Long and Strong, and that's exactly what we want to do. That's exactly what we're going to talk about this week on the broadcast. Last week, we went through a bunch of different topics, and some of these things aren't necessarily always so fun to hear. You know,
Right.
Some of these things don't really come easy to hear, but I want to encourage you to listen, to get your notepad out, take notes, order their book so you can continue studying this after the broadcast ends. But today, Dr. Colbert is going to take us through some really important information around markers and how to understand when your body is trying to speak to you, but we're not hearing it.
That's so good.
Can you just share with everyone who maybe didn't hear last week's broadcast kind of the context for why you even wrote this book in the first place?
Well, I've been practicing medicine for approximately 40 years, and I've found over the years that numbers don't lie. That's a truth that will stand forever. So I've been checking my patients' numbers every 6 months, and I check these critical numbers, and unfortunately, a lot of doctors don't check. And when you don't check these numbers and you don't bring these numbers in normal range, disease starts to set in. And many times there's no symptoms that occur. Like with inflammatory markers like HSCRP and homocysteine levels, you have a slow inflammation that's kindling like a fire burning in your body that's not recognized. Now, it can, if it's severe, you'll have pain, but if it's not, it's just a smoldering inflammation that's setting the stage for disease, heart disease, degenerates the brain. It also creates plaque in the arteries. So again, I discuss these numbers, and I find that most people, when they learn these numbers and learn what these numbers mean, and they take action early, they can usually prevent disease and or reverse disease. So that's why it's so critical to know these numbers, because these numbers are critical for enabling us to live in divine health and to prevent most diseases.
Mary, can you share your story about
Sure.
your tooth that you shared last week with us? It's such a good
It is a
example of
great-
why this
it
is
is.
so important.
I love the promise from God in 3 John 2. He says, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in
Amen.
health, even as your soul prospers. That is the will of God. I want
Amen.
to establish that with people so you understand. It is not God's will that you be sick. That is a religious lie. God's will is that you walk in health. He really wants that. So when you understand the will of God and that that's His will, then you will work hard to get in line with His will on that. So for me, I have little tiny veins. It's hard for them to draw me. I was his worst patient about getting blood work done.
She hates to go to the lab.
Hate to go to the lab, hate needles.
She's a turnip.
I'm one of those. And I mean, I go to the lab and the phlebotomist looks at me like, really? They look at my veins and they go get the pediatric person who does pediatric draws. I got such tiny veins. So they usually have to stick me 2 or 3 times. So you don't want to use that as an excuse, folks. That's my point of telling that story. So they did draw my blood, and the lab test came back, and Don came in, and he goes, Mary, you're CRP, right?
HSCRP.
HSCRP, which is a measurement of whether or not you have infection going on
Or
in your body
inflammation.
or inflammation, that
Right.
there's something brewing in your body. He goes, Mary, yours is off the chart. Supposed to be like normal, 7, 9?
Less than 1.
Less than 1. Oh,
Yours was like 50.
I had like mine was 52. So he knew something was going on. I didn't have any pain. I didn't have any issues going on. I felt great. I was like, I'm not sick. And he goes, yeah, but there's something going on, Mary. I don't like
I
this.
got to find it.
He goes, we've got to find it. This is not good. This is not normal. It's kind of like, guys, you drive your car and when the oil gauge gets down and it starts flashing red, you wouldn't keep driving your car with it flashing
right.
red, would
Yeah.
you? You'd go and say, hey, my car's low on oil, needs to do something. Well, God has built in all of these warning systems that are silent. The oil light on your car doesn't scream. It just shows up telling you it's low, right? So in your body, there are numbers that when they're off, it's a warning sign. It's flashing. Even though you can't feel it, you don't see it. That's why you want to be on top of it. And so he did his thing with me and check this, check that. And he has a way of doing these things
through kinesiology.
And he said, well, let me just, because he couldn't find anything. And he goes, well, hold on, let me just check. It could be a tooth. Sure enough, he goes through doing the acupressure, and then he goes to this tooth and goes, oh my gosh, Mary, something's going on with this tooth. He goes, I want you to go to the dentist. You're going to the dentist. Something's going on. I go, no, but it doesn't hurt. My teeth don't hurt. I don't have any problem. You're going to the dentist, Mary. Something's going on. Sure enough. I go in, the dentist comes out.
But make a long story short.
She comes and she says, there is a huge abscess up in your jaw right here. We may have to do surgery to remove it. He goes, Mary, that will erode your jawline and major issues can come from that. But
to make a long story short, they corrected it.
Yes.
And inflammation markers came down.
Normal.
Yes, so praise God.
It's so important. This is what I would call faith-filled stewardship. And my grandfather believes in this. He believes in the wisdom that God gives you as doctors to help us and to guide us and to be. You said last week that going to a multitude of counsel is important,
Sure.
and I just want to encourage our listeners that this is not for our faith world, it might sound like this is not faith focused or faith forward, but 100% it is, because if every name has to bow, but you don't know what is even wrong, how can you take authority over it? And so this is I just want to encourage you. Today we're going specifically through liver filter. And did I say that right? Kidney and liver filters?
Yes,
the numbers. The numbers for
the
ALT, the AST, correct.
These are
for the
important
liver.
numbers.
Important numbers. And if it's not clear yet, the whole point of Dr. Colbert's new book is he's going to, in every single chapter, give you the numbers that you need to take to your doctor, and you need to compare your results to the tests that your doctors are giving you, because sometimes they're not looking for the same numbers.
Right.
They might not be in agreement that these numbers are quote unquote healthy. The standard for these numbers are changing all the time within the United States health system. So talk us through the liver and kidney filters and what we need to know about how to keep our filter system healthy.
Well, first of all, we have an epidemic in this country of fatty liver disease. And approximately 25% of the population have fatty liver. And when you have fatty liver, you are stressing your liver, and eventually it can lead to cirrhosis. It's one of the fastest known causes of cirrhosis, which is liver failure. When your liver fails, I've seen it, and it's horrible. These people can gain 50 to 100 pounds of fluid in a day. That liver scars down, the spleen enlarges, the blood backs up, you get esophageal varices that can bleed, people can have hemorrhages from their esophagus, they're exhausted, they can barely move, and they have severe brain fog, they have hepatic encephalopathy. So we don't want to get to that point, because at that point you need a liver transplant. And the strange thing, the liver doesn't give a lot of signals like other organs when it's damaged. You're mainly tired and run down.
Well, and God designed the liver to do what exactly? I feel like I know in general, but I would love for you to expand.
The liver is the most amazing filter. It's our filter. It filters out toxins. It has over 500 different duties. Can you imagine an organ that has over 500 different duties, such as detoxifying chemicals, toxins, pharmaceuticals, heavy metals, plasticizers, forever chemicals, volatile organic compounds like formaldehyde, secondhand smoke, carbon monoxide, goes on and on. It's doing that job all the time, filtering our blood every minute of the day. But it also breaks down sugars to form energy. It takes amino acids and forms proteins to help rebuild the entire body almost every year. It produces clotting factors that helps our blood to clot when we're cut or when we bleed. It also has bile that helps break down fat, but it has over 500 different duties it does, and most people are unaware. So again, we need to take care of this super filter we have, or else unfortunately, most Americans are damaging this filter, and the main thing that damages this filter is sugar.
I was about to ask, what are the key everyday habits that put strain on our liver?
Well, the main thing is high fructose corn syrup and sugar and highly refined foods that convert to sugar. sugar and sweet coffees and fruit juices and sweet fruits like, your raisins and your prunes and your any kind of dried fruit that you eat, as well as syrups and honeys and maple syrup and things like that. People say, "Oh, it's healthy. I pour it in my tea," but all that honey will gum up the liver. It'll inflame the liver, create fatty liver. Now, here's how it works: our liver gets fatty, and it goes through a process. First, it forms fat. Then you get more inflammation in the liver, like Mary had inflammation, so the CRP starts to rise. When the CRP starts to rise, it leads to liver fibrosis, which that liver starts to become fibrotic or stiff. And then after fibrosis comes cirrhosis. So then what happens is whenever we see the liver enzymes elevated, and they stay elevated for a little bit of time, they're not coming down to normal, we do certain tests to rule out fibrosis or cirrhosis. But if you have elevated liver functions and elevated CRP, the chances are you're pushing your liver toward fibrosis and cirrhosis. So we do these special imaging studies called a fibroscan of the liver or a MRI elastography of the liver using an MRI. So it tells us how flexible or stiff the liver is. So it'll tell me if you're going toward fibrosis and cirrhosis. Real critical. But we prevent it by changing their diet. The key diet I put my patients on that works the best is my Beyond Keto diet, which is a healthy keto diet and or a healthy Mediterranean diet with lots of high phenolic olive oil and
Tell them what high phenolic olive means.
Well,
yes, please.
High phenolic olive oil, this is a new type of olive oil that, by the way, you can't get in the grocery stores. They don't have it yet. But I recommend it to all my patients. And just you can Google high phenolic olive oils. There's some really good ones, but most of them come from Greece.
Explain
but
what it
polyphenols, high phenolic means high in polyphenols. Polyphenols are a powerful antioxidant. Probably the most powerful antioxidant on the planet is oleocanthal, which is a polyphenol. And it helps the liver, it helps the circulation. And that's one reason the Greek people, even though approximately 30% smoke, they have amazingly low amount of lung cancer and other cancer.
The olive oils that he's talking about, Don does a shot in the morning. He does. He drinks a shot in the morning.
I've been doing
that
for 10 years.
So we shouldn't
do a little bit.
At least
should
10
we
years.
or should we not be taking a shot of olive oil that we're getting at the grocery store? It needs to be this really healthy.
The best is the high phenolic olive oil.
Okay, high phenolic.
And that's what I've been doing for years. And
when you take the olive oil, it will cause a burn in the back of your throat.
Let's do the oleocanthal. It's a burn and a cough. You'll get a little cough and a burn. That means that the oil
is a good oil.
Is a good oil, not a bad oil. A lot of people say, "Oh, that's bad oil." No, that's a good oil. Now you can smell olive oil and see if it's rancid or not.
Now Don likes olive oil in glass bottles,
yes.
not
dark
plastic.
glass
You
bottle.
mentioned Forever Chemicals a minute ago. Can you expand on that? 'Cause I don't think people. I had had a conversation with the founder of Symbiotica, the supplement company Symbiotica, and I asked him. I said, if no one has any money to spend on their health, what can people do to extend their life? And he said, stop drinking out of plastic, drink out of glass.
That's what we do.
And
only glass.
don't drink the tap water.
Exactly.
So, but can you explain why plastic and these forever chemicals are so important to avoid?
Absolutely. Well, forever chemicals are these chemicals that literally our body, it's real hard to ever get rid of these chemicals. And they lower testosterone levels. They can set the stage for many diseases. These forever chemicals, we find them generally in foods that are cooked in Teflon skillets. Teflon skillets contain these forever chemicals, so you don't want to cook in Teflon.
Stainless steel.
Stainless steel. Okay.
Stainless steel, also bacon glass is good for you.
Glass, yeah.
But the forever chemicals are just something our body has a hard time getting rid of. And so we have to try avoid them at all costs if we can.
One thing it's interesting that we have learned is that genetically, there are people, a huge amount, and Don, I don't know what the numbers are, that do not have a gene to detox. And so those people are exposed to toxins and it builds up in their system a lot faster and a lot harder. And that's when we talked about people getting shots, immunizations, that put the mercury in the shots A lot of people can't detox it because they don't have the gene to detox. So that's where we go down a different rabbit trail on that. But there are people who don't have a gene for detoxification.
Wow, that's
so
so
they've got to do
interesting.
things to help their body rid itself of toxins like fasting. Fasting is huge.
Infrared saunas are
Infrared
good.
Can you,
saunas.
there's so many things online now about all the ways you should be fasting. What's like for this, the fasting starter pack for someone who's never fasted before outside of
I
like
wrote a book
the
on
Daniel
it years
fast?
ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so the best thing is to fast sugars and breads and things such as that, and bad fats. What I have people do is have soups and salads with extra virgin olive oils, or they can do water fast or juice fast that have fiber with it, so it keeps your GI tract working. But I have a whole book on that.
Yeah, because your filters, since we're talking about filters,
The liver's critical.
it needs to be cleaned out. And it needs to give a rest. So you have to do that. It's why the Bible talks about not when you fast, not if you fast, it's when you fast.
That's right.
And the fasting is part of the cleansing of these filters, right, Don?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, he really recommends that. Water fast for 24 hours if you can is really good for your filter system.
If someone's hearing this and it sounds a little bit overwhelming, I want you to speak to the mothers and the wives of the households about how to just kind of do a reset in the home without feeling like you have to throw out every single thing right away. Like, how would you encourage people to make these changes over time?
Yeah. First of all, we're not talking about children fasting.
Right.
Children are healthy, so leave your children be. They're good. We're talking about adulthoods. We're talking about people in their late 20s, 30s that you'll want to begin to implement fasting. One that Don likes the most is skipping breakfast. Don't eat after 6 o'clock
That's
at night.
intermittent fasting, correct.
It's called intermittent fasting. It's very healthy for your body. So at 6 o'clock, no more food. You don't eat anything else. Drink your water. If you need to do some fiber, you can do fiber before you go to bed so you're not waking up with a blood sugar spike
or
in the middle of
nuts
the
or
night.
seeds, pumpkin seeds.
Those are things are fine. But then wait until like 10 or 11 o'clock the next day. That gives your body 15 hours of cleansing. And that's
16 hours, yeah.
doable.
Does that work if you have coffee with like creamer in it? I think a lot of
if you have creamer, it does. But if you have coffee,
just coffee is fine.
I think people need to know that.
it's okay.
People are like, I'm intermittent fasting and watching them drink a Starbucks and latte, and I'm like,
no,
that's
not intermittent fasting.
Yeah. So you can have black coffee or green tea in the middle of that.
With stevia, without any cream.
But that's not that long to go without
it's really
eating.
not,
And just every now and then do that for your body to help cleanse out
the American
filters.
health system told us that breakfast was the most important meal of the day.
Not anymore. We
So,
say to skip it is the best for you.
Yeah, I agree
Especially
with
because
that. I
the
do
way
that.
people eat real toxic or inflammatory breakfast with lots of eggs and cooked in usually margarine, as well as lots of processed bread, toast, and bacon, which is high in nitrates and nitrites.
Don used to teach, eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper.
But not anymore.
And now he
the rules have changed.
The rules have changed.
They have definitely changed.
So it does.
But we got to
change.
protect this filter.
Yeah.
And to protect the filter, one of the worst things for this great filter God's given us is avoiding alcohol and Tylenol. What alcohol and Tylenol or acetaminophen do is they strip the body of glutathione, which is one of the greatest detoxifiers for our liver. And so that's why we need to avoid it. And also alcohol, especially if you have the Alzheimer's gene, pushes your brain towards Alzheimer's. You start to form beta amyloid in the brain, which is a sticky glue-like substance that shrinks the brain down. So in order to help the liver detoxify, the best thing to do is avoiding the high fructose corn syrup and the sugar and the processed foods
sodas.
and the sweet fruit
theme
and
from
the
this
juices.
last week into
the juices.
this week. All the things that we need to avoid are pretty similar. Yeah.
It's mainly the sugar. The worst is high fructose corn syrup, which is found in all the sodas and the sweet candies and sweet coffees and things like that, which literally gum the liver up and create fatty liver. 5 to 10% of children have fatty liver.
Now that's alarming.
That's what's really scary.
Yeah.
And again, the 3 major causes of cirrhosis in this country is number 1, alcoholic liver disease from alcohol. Number 2, viral hepatitis B and C. And number 3 is fatty liver disease, progressing on to NASH or non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, which is a precursor to fibrosis and cirrhosis. So that's why it's critical to step in, know your numbers, because the liver heals quickly. But if you wait until you're in fibrosis or borderline cirrhosis, sometimes it's too late. So it's important to catch it early.
Well, what are some warning signs of my liver might be?
The liver doesn't give off very many warning signs.
So that's why
the blood test.
Right. By the time I have seen people go in one day gaining 50 to 100 pounds because they have ascites and had no idea they had liver problems. And I've seen so many people that come in and they've had a liver transplant and they've had high blood pressure, they've had all these diseases, but they neglected their liver, or they had fatty liver and it progressed on to cirrhosis because they drank sodas every day and ate ice cream and cake and pies and cookies and had desserts every meal. And that sets the liver up for fatty liver that can progress. And when that fatty liver becomes elevated liver functions, and then you get the elevated CRP, it quickly progresses toward fibrosis and then cirrhosis. And then the doctors come in and they said, wait, you say I only had a little fatigue, but then you come in with yellow eyes, swollen with ascites, esophageal varices, and just feeling horrible. They say you need a liver transplant. Now, I've seen that, and that's what's horrible.
We want to be proactive.
Of course.
We want to encourage people to be proactive in preventive medicine so you don't have to get on meds and have to get on drugs.
And if someone has already received the report that their liver is maybe not functioning at the fullest capacity, what are some things we can do in addition to supplements?
The best thing is the diet. The most important, I would say, is the diet, and especially either the healthy keto diet or the healthy Mediterranean diet in my book, Beyond Keto, glutathione, or we have a glutathione called nanoglutathione, or there's N-acetylcysteine that's good. There's phosphatidylcholine that's really good to help defat the liver. And one of the best things we found is actually the GLP-1 medicines like semaglutide, Ozempic, tirzepatide, Mounjaro literally helps to defat the liver. And it helps, if we catch it early enough, we can many times reverse that, the inflammation in the liver from just those. Those are the key things.
How would you encourage everyone to walk through this process? If this is the first time, a lot of people are going to be hearing about all of these different steps that we're going to get through, that we got through last week, we're going to go through this week. How would you encourage someone to walk through this with peace and not fear?
What you don't know may be killing you. And don't stick your head in the sand. Don't do that. That's the worst thing you can do, is to just turn your head and pretend and say, I'm just going to believe I'm fine. Everybody should have a baseline blood work. And that's what this book is about. That's all it is. It's to give you a baseline of what you can work with for years to come. And if your blood work is normal and you're doing great, once a year, just go once a year to get your blood work. But that's just maintenance on top of your body's good, healthy maintenance. This is wisdom. This is wisdom. And you want to walk in wisdom. So I encourage you to do that.
And if you're hearing that and you're thinking, well, I don't have a doctor like Dr. Colbert, that's what the book is for. They're giving you a cheat code to take to your doctor, to compare the numbers. Right. And I'm so thankful for that, because I think a lot of us, I'm very blessed to get to see you as a doctor, and I'm very thankful for the markers that you helped me catch, that my doctors in LA, no one could tell me why I was gaining weight. No one could tell me these things. And after you telling me what to ask for in my blood test, fast forward 2 years, I'm a different person. My health is in such good check. So we're going to keep diving into this all week. Stay tuned for the rest of the week, and we'll be right back.
When it comes to our health and wellness, it can be difficult to tell what is causing our symptoms. Sometimes it can be a simple fix, while other times it can be something much more deeply rooted. These are not random. They are the result of daily choices that impact your spirit, soul, and body. In the book, Live Long and Strong, Dr. Don Colbert, MD, a board-certified family practice doctor, combines biblical wisdom with modern medicine to help reveal the path to a long and healthy life. Discover the 12 scientifically proven essential health markers that determine your longevity and vitality. Learn how to identify hidden imbalances, gain an understanding of the connection between your physical health and spiritual well-being, and be provided with a step-by-step action plan on how to live the healthy life you always wanted. Don't miss out on the opportunity to get this book. A long and strong life is available for you today.
Order your copy of Dr. Don Colbert's new book, Live Long and Strong. You can live in the divine health that God has for you. Go to kcm.org.za or phone on 0860-103356 and order your copy today for 239 Rand. Make the necessary changes to live long and strong. Postage charges apply. For more information, please contact your regional office.
You can have a life free of sickness and disease. In the digital mini-book, 3 Steps to the Good Life, Gloria Copeland shares with you how God's Word can make and keep you well. This is our gift to you. These 3 steps are based on Gloria Copeland's own personal experiences of living a life of divine health. Find out what she did and learn how you can apply these steps to your life and receive the same benefits. Claim your free digital gift by scanning the QR code or by visiting our website today.
This is the one thing that I look forward to every year is coming here to be immersed in the Word.
You can never trade this for anything else. I just wish this would be the life that we live every single day. You just wake up, come to be in the presence of the Lord.
You can get the principles of the Word on TV and it's exciting, but when you're gathered together with thousands of people and experience it in the presence of God, it's totally different with being in person.
Something that's so important to my grandparents is our outreach that we do here at Kenneth Copeland Ministries. I'm so excited to announce we've been working really hard on this. We have developed a database for our partners for disaster relief. Right now, when a disaster occurs, we have a disaster team that's actually led up by my brother, Jonathan Copeland. And what we do is we go to our partner database, we research to see who of our partners are in these affected areas, and then we do a call campaign. But as many of you might relate to, if I don't know who's calling me, I'm not answering the phone. And so we've realized that it's hard to get a hold of our partners when something like this happens. So we have created a partner-only database for you to enter your information into so that if a disaster were to ever occur in your area, that we have other means of communication to be able to get a hold of you. And the reason we're trying to get a hold of you is not just to make sure you're okay, but we send teams out into these disaster areas to check on you, to help you financially. I love our disaster relief program because we literally show up with cash, with prayer. We want to help you. So when you enter this database, you can give us permission to text you, permission to call a brother or a sister and make sure you're okay. So please follow the link on your screen and get yourself in that database. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you again tomorrow. I'm Courtney with Dr. Don and Mary Colbert, and we're reminding you that God loves you, we love you, and Jesus is Lord.
Let the Word of God build your faith. Kenneth Copeland calls kcm.org.za your study center. You can watch, read, and share faith-based content and teaching resources available to you free.